Well, we've been having an awful lot of train derailments lately, haven't we? You know, as I look for other things, I stumble across non-related other issues I'll bookmark and come back to later. And I started looking a little bit closer at East Palestine, and right around that time, within that 30-day span surrounding that derailment, there were 4 total train derailments. And what kind of caught my attention, because I'm not opposed to jumping down a rabbit hole or two, I started looking at how some of these areas vote where these accidents allegedly happen. And it seems to me, just my opinion, form your own. Based on what I'm seeing, it seems like a lot of these derailments are happening in majority conservative areas of the country. When you look at February 3rd, okay, I'm finding lots of information in regards to yard masters and conductors saying, hey, this train isn't safe, it isn't safe, but they're told, hey, that's what they want, ship it out. Next thing you know, they get into a nice red area of the country and oops, now you have hazardous material spewing into the air. Now, I don't know how many of you guys remember, but when somebody showed up, now they couldn't even identify right away what the hazardous material was. Now, anybody that works with hazardous material, they're always telling you, make sure everything's clearly labeled so everybody knows what you're dealing with. But how come the people up at the tip top seem to drop the ball in the most biblical way when the shit hits the fan? So they had no idea what was spewing into the air. So somebody says, let's do a controlled burn. Then they did that, and then they're like, well, wait a minute, you're making it worse. Who gave that order? Then I come across an article about how, because, the guys in East Palestine, they seem to be saying, well, when's the EPA going to come in and take over and fix this? We need to get this stuff out of here, right? And I think that's a part of the plan. It looks to me like this stuff, if you look at Norfolk Southern's record in just the past year alone, they had over 160-something train derailments. Not all of them carry hazardous material, but I've discovered that they are in fact shipping the hazardous waste material from East Palestine to other parts of Ohio. They're shipping loads of it to parts of Indiana, probably red areas. I mean, there are just so many train derailments now, they're hard to keep up with. But what caught my eye was how the EPA made the decision to take a large supply of this hazardous material and start shipping it to Texas and Michigan, to conservative areas, and they didn't even let local officials know it was coming. Now, I'm not sure if it was Norfolk who was in charge of sending it there, but considering their track record, don't you think that the responsible thing to do would be to alert the people who are receiving it to say, hey, unfortunately, Norfolk Southern, they're sending some stuff your way. Be ready, just in case. Here's what they have in their cargo containers, but nothing. So these guys right now in Michigan, they fought it off. They said, oh, no, you don't. No, you don't. You just don't send something and have it show up on my doorstep like you're dropping off a baby and running. You know what I mean? I was looking at the March derailment in Springfield, Ohio. Now they say nobody was hurt. Okay. They say 28 cars derailed, or 20, depending on which news source. It seems like everybody's so quick to get a headline out that they don't really get a solid number. So somewhere between 20 to 28 cars derailed. Now, they were empty mostly. No big deal, right? However, I come across an article done a few weeks after that by ABC News 7, I forget which state. And they said, right, but there were in fact over 31 cars that was on that 212 car train that did have hazardous material. So was this just another oopsie, or did it just not go as they'd hoped? We had another one over in Virginia, which was a coal train. So, you know, I don't know. They say it just had coal and they just derailed. They didn't tip or whatever. However, there was a lot of fire. So just a couple of black plumes going into the air. But, you know, when you look at what happened in Maui, something that really kind of unnerves me a bit is how, if you look at some of my earlier videos, how they were saying that the EPA reserves the right to enter these people's homes without their permission if they determine that there's hazardous material in them. So I kind of find that odd that they could just suddenly assume that authority and just come walking in your house like the Gestapo and just evacuating you, right? Now, what if this is all a part of that Great Reset, nobody will own anything and be completely happy? With the way they're just tipping these trains just with reckless abandon in those areas of the country that aren't getting hit. They're taking in loads of this toxic soil just saturated with benzene and God knows what else, that I don't know, what are they going to do, bury it? Now you're going to get it into the water table. Now you're going to have more people sick. And do you have something hazardous in your house now? Here comes the EPA. They're knocking on your door one time to let you know they're coming in, whether you want them in or not. I just wanted to share an observation or two. I think it's targeted. I think it's targeting red areas. And I think what happened in Maui is going to eventually happen on a larger scale in the United States. Well, why do you say that, Lonnie? Well, I got a man, all right, in Congress. He's questioning an official. I'm going to share the video in its entirety. An official from the EPA, he's questioning them on why they're using so much money from a budget to buy military grade equipment, and a lot of it seems to be night vision type stuff. What does the EPA need with something like that? What are they doing over there? Guys, you need to arm yourself. All right, let's take a look at the video.
The chair now recognizes myself for 5 minutes. Administrator Reagan, I want to let you know we've been all bouncing around. We've got several committees going on, but I've been following you and watching and listening to your answers. And I want to tell you, you do give thorough answers as people are talking to you, and I appreciate that. A lot of times we see people with binders and they're just sitting there flipping back and forth just to try to figure out what the answer is, the canned answer. But I want to go in two different areas real quick because the EPA is purchasing millions of dollars worth of advanced combat equipment, and I heard a little bit about this earlier on a slightly different question, and a lot of this includes night vision, and so why does the EPA need military equipment?
Well, and I'll give the same answer I gave before. I need to really look into this particular issue and the reasoning behind our enforcement arm making these purchases. I'd like to give an honest answer, so I'd love to get back to you on that.
So you're not going to war against anyone, right?
Listen, there's no one to go to war against. I believe that our permitted and regulated constituency are partners, and we're trying to do these things together.
Well, I guess I just want you to know, how are Americans supposed to feel about an agency? You know, because a lot of us feel like that our rights are always trampled on. And especially when you're stocking up on weapons. So, you know, I would love to have some sort of detailed answer into that, especially if there is no war on the horizon for the EPA.
Absolutely.
It's interesting to me how, you know, when you see how these Norfolk Southern officials say, hey, come on, with every accident, we're learning, right? So come on, guys, cut these guys a break. They'll figure it out. They'll get it right eventually. Maybe, right? But I mean, when are they going to shut these guys down? You realize they're Blackrock owned, right? And every corporation or whoever they send in to take your land, which, man, I'm telling you, over the next few years, you're going to see a massive land grab here in the States, but it's going to be called something else. It's going to be for our safety because there's things in the water. Uh-oh, guys, we got to get you out of there. It's not safe to breathe. It's not safe to walk on your soil. It's not safe to drink your water. Trust us, the EPA has everything under control. We have your interest. Arm yourselves, people. There's something bad coming, all right? And to those of you who are still lollygagging up there in the city thinking, I'll just vote Trump, he'll fix it. Will he? I gotta kind of wonder. We've got so many things in motion right now that almost guarantee that that great reset is going to happen. And if you're gonna sit back and munch on those Funyuns and chug Mountain Dew thinking that somebody else is gonna fix your problems for you, you may end up finding out when it's too late that you're just dead wrong. Until the next video, this is Lonnie from the Justice Appalachian Homestead in East Kentucky. We'll holler at you later.